I know my Nagas, we think we got to send our children to these colleges to get educated, to get a job. Man, buy them some land and watch them pop off, man. We learn to educate ourselves again, to be bosses, to run businesses, to be supported by our own community, and we learn we don't need that much. We don't need a million, cajillion of their paper fiat monies. We need to tap in to our inheritance. That's that ancient love song. You already rich, my guy. You just figured it out. This is your land. This is your land. The Kumse's trying to tell the Naga. Right, Shawnee Chief. Formerly a Native American Confederacy promoting intertribal unity. We ain't heard that in a minute. Cause these tribes today ain't trying to unify with us. Copper colored cons found here. They want to take our titles. They want to paint their images on the Kumse. So they can say, hey, that's me. You can't take them off of this. They proud of this. We are the sons and daughters of the Kumse. Yeah, based on this sketch, right? The Kumse was in the middle of a war. Even though his efforts to unite Native Americans ended with his death in the War of 1812, he became an iconic folk hero in American, Indigenous, and Canadian popular history. All this he had to go through just to get to the point, of checking all these tribes for all these treaties, being born in Ohio at a time when the far-flung Shawnees were reuniting in their Ohio country homeland. During his childhood, the Shawnees lost territory to the expanding American colonies and a series of border conflicts. Tecumseh's father was killed in a battle against American colonists in 1774. Tecumseh was therefore mentored by his older brother, Chesetao, noted war chief who died fighting in 1792. So what can he do? His dad died fighting. His brothers died fighting. Well, what you think Tech's gonna do? You think he's just over there just kicking it with the British and yada yada? Man, he over here slipping. We ain't seen this type of energy, man, since Tupac, man. For real. I mean, that's the kind of energy Tecumseh's bringing. That's why they have to shut that down. He's talking about uniting the jails and uniting all Nagas under, thug life, man. That's Tecumseh, man. I'm talking about Tupac attack, man. Tecumseh joined Shawnee Chief Blue Jacket's armed struggle against further American encroachment. So he started rocking with Blue Jacket. Yeah, war chief for the Shawnee, preeminent Indian leader in the Northwest Indian War. So he was leading the Northwest Indian War. Wow, because that's all we talk about, right? Right? Whoa. And this is primarily popping off after their Treaty of Paris situation and Fort Finney situation where they're giving up damn near all of Ohio, right? Their homeland. Said, nah, we ain't gonna do this no more. And they did it again in 1809, gave away 30 million acres of land. Tecumseh said, we ain't gonna do this no more. We're going to war for this, man, giving them no more land. Now Naga trying to buy land. Why you buying land? I don't get it. You don't understand any of these wars, man. But my real Nagas, you know what I'm saying, they understand a Naga, what it means to put our Nagaville flag up, man. we represent for the Chickamauga. For all the indigenous Nagas today, whether you were descendant of this side or that side, whether you were descendant of the Chickasaw or the Shawnee or the Choctaw or the Delaware or Naga, we in this together. And I think maybe they didn't see clear that the war couldn't have been avoided. You know, they had the tribe up there, or they leave it to you today, right? If they would have known what they were leaving to you today, I guarantee Tecumseh would have had much more support, man. But today we have a chance to make a difference. And us digging on this is not to point the finger or put the blame on no tribes, but to say that we got to tribe up. Our mission to tribe up is the same as Joseph Brant, the three councils, Tecumseh, and of course, what we're talking about here, the inter-tribal, tribe up, unity under Blue Jacket. Tecumseh joined Blue Jacket against the hijack. Let's get it. Which ended in defeat at the Battle of Fallen Timbers, night 1794. So whatever this defeat is, you know, you see that there is a demarcation. And then it's suddenly no major war, and suddenly this. So this whole roundup, you know, all this stuff was brewing just to pop back up with the Tecumseh War. From that point, we on it popping. On it popping, my nigga. When were you a slave? They say slaves were brought here to 1600s, my nigga. And what was the slave doing during all this war? You thought it was just some white people war? American Revolutionary War, white British, white, American Anglos. The whole entire war, whatever war they called it, Philippine War, Mexico War, all this is still you. Banana War, even the Vietnam. My dad was in Vietnam. You know, he was a musician. He had to play taps every time his, homie died or someone died. He was playing that horn. He played it so well, they kept him off the, front lines of battle just so he can play his horn. His horn saved his life. And without his trumpet, I probably wouldn't be here today. My father was put in Vietnam by his mother. This is how crazy my family is, man. My grandma signed my dad to war. She didn't want him playing his jazz music. You couldn't play jazz in the church. My dad was supposed to go to the Olympics as a hurdler or long jump, doing track and field. He had to go to Vietnam. His mama said so. This is how they done her mind bone. It wasn't her fault. It's just how she was brought up. Poison in the mind. This is what led up to the points. All this. When we were slaves, I'm not. This is the press out. To the Battle of Fallen Timbers. A lot of Nagas fell. Final battle in the Northwestern Indian War, struggle between Native American tribes affiliated with the Western Confederacy and their British allies. confederate against you, right? Psalms 83. And with the loss of most of Ohio, then there's the Treaty of Greenville. Say we're going to look at these treaties a little closer. Formerly titled Treaty with the Wyandots. 1795 treaty between the United States and indigenous nations of Northwest Territory, including the Wyandots and the Delaware. Here come the Delaware back in the equation. They've been making treaty. It was a sign of Fort Greenville, now Greenville, Ohio, on August 3rd, 1795. But back it up. So this treaty defined the boundary between the indigenous people's lands and the territory for European American community settlement. They just wanted to settle. Invade. It was signed at Fort Greenville, now Greenville, Ohio, August 3rd, 1795, following the Native American loss at the Battle of Fallen Timbers a year earlier. Ended with the Northwest Indian War in Ohio country, limited Indian country to Northwest Ohio, and began the practice of annual payments following the land concessions. Damn. Here come the tax. Parties to the treaty were a coalition of Native American tribes known as the Western Confederacy. And the United States government presented by General Anthony Wayne. It's got to do with the Treaty of Fort Wayne, and local frontiersmen. Treaties. 1805, Tecumseh's younger brother, Tenskwatawa, who came to be known as the Shawnee Prophet, founded a religious movement. Oh, he's talking about keeping the code. That called upon Native Americans to reject European influences and return to a more traditional lifestyle. They didn't want them Indian schools. 1808, Tecumseh and Tenskwatawa established Prophetstown, a village in present-day Indiana that grew into a large multi-tribal community. Nothing we doing is new. Tribing up ain't new. It's just a matter of us coming together with one consent, man. We ain't gotta talk reckless. We ain't gotta be reckless. We can say, hey, let's keep the code of Hawaii. And in that code, you're gonna see the magic shift in your favor, man. You're gonna see the spells get broken because you listening again. You hearkening to Hawaii. You putting the Creator first. And with that, you can make your battle cry because you got Hawaii fighting with you, and can't no one stand up. Can't no one stand up to the Creator. Without our Creator, we die like men. With our Creator, we rise like gods. Tecumseh traveled constantly speaking the prophet's message and eclipsing his brother in prominence. Tecumseh proclaimed that Native Americans own their lands in common and urged tribes not to cede more territory unless all agree. His message alarmed American leaders, of course, right? He's talking unity, as well as Native leaders who sought accommodation with the United States. We're going to talk some more of this push mataha and these accommodations. And again, ain't about, hurting nobody's feelings about it. It's just like I and we can understand how any tribal leader or chief has to protect his tribe. But we can now also see with wisdom the errors of our ancestors' ways. We can't defend this shit no more. You can say, yeah, give up all our land. That's going to make our people live, right? No, it's going to be a slow death. They're going to lose their identity. Oh, let's sign these treaties and let's pretend, that, that we had nothing to do with it. But Allah knows that you're gonna get that work based on what you've done to the children of Asherah, the children of Israel. You're gonna get that work. It's just what it is. We had to get this work. We had to get our work. You're gonna have to get your work. We can't save you. We're not your savior. But you can save yourselves. Code up. Tribe up. Put yourself in the best position to answer to Hawa. You know what I'm saying? That's all you got. One shot to put yourselves in the best position because you've been accommodating the United States corporation. It's time for you to accommodate the code. That's your only solution. Your only hope. In 1811, when Tecumseh was in the South recruiting allies, Americans under William Henry Harris defeated Tenskwatawa at the Battle of Tippecanoe and destroyed Prophet's Town. That's the last time we got that Tecumseh was away, gathering the tribe, rallying the tribes, and that's when they attacked Prophet's Town. When Tecumseh was away, divide and conquer. In the War of 1812, Tecumseh joined his cause with the British, recruited warriors, and helped capture Detroit in August 1812. The following year, he led an unsuccessful campaign against the United States in Ohio and Indiana. And again, just for clarity purposes, we're about to get this document, that's really anti-Tecumseh. They try to be like, oh, well, what war has he won? Yada, yada. Well, clearly he put his influence up at, not only tribed up who he could tribe up, because again, if everybody ain't tribing up, you can't get mad at Tecumseh for not ultimately winning the war. You can't point the finger, well, what war has he won? What war did you help him with? And he should have been fighting as hard as he had to fight. If you didn't tribe up, if the other confederacies didn't tribe up with the devil, right? The adversary, when U.S. naval forces took control of Lake Erie in 1813, Tecumseh reluctantly retreated with the British into Upper Canada. And this is when he fought his last battle, the Battle of Thames, on October 5th, 1813, in which Tecumseh was killed. And the loss of the powerful Tecumseh caused the collapse of, much of the work. His brother had been killed in the Battle of Tippecanoe. He lost his other brother. He lost his father, He was killed. I mean, that was the hard ball, you know what I'm saying? The siege of Detroit was also known as the Surrender of Detroit or the Battle of Fort Detroit. Early engagement in the British-U.S. War of 1812, British force under Major General Isaac Brock with Native American allies under Shawnee leader Tecumseh used bluff and deception to intimidate her. So yeah, they popped off. So it appears that he did help, win whatever skirmish that was. But the final battle, it's 500 Nagas versus 5,000. Man, what do you want from the big bro Tecumseh? It could have been 5,000 on 5,000 if it wasn't for these treaties, which is why we gotta do this, because we lost Nagas, man, because of this. So I'm not going hard enough on these, treacherous, treacherous brothers, treacherous, family that went against the unity. I'm not going hard enough. Y'all getting off easy, but you ain't gonna get off. I'm here to tell you, you ain't gonna get away from this. You feel this in your heart bone. The script says when we wake up and see what happens, it's going to be weeping. It's going to be mourning. You feel it already. We had to bring it to the 1800s. Because in chronology, they push time back 1800 years. So the Tecumseh War, imagine if they pushed that back 1800 years and you're reading about it in history at year one. you're at year one. But it happened in 1813. You know, you're in the 200s, 300s, talking about a king or a prophet or, a chief or whatever. You're not knowing that this took place in the 1800s. I know it. Even when I tell you, you're still going to be like, nah, that was in the BCs. Why? Because they say so. They added 1,800 years in some instances to your timeline. 1,000 years, 300 years, whatever. Time shifts. The lands he fought to defend were eventually given to the U.S. So all that death for nothing. He went all or nothing, man. Balls to the wall. Either we win or we lose everything. Either way, we're going to lose it all. If we don't fight, we're going to lose it all for sure. Or we're going to leave it to our children in 2022 to try to figure this out. He said, I'm going to make my stand here. I'm not going to wait for my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren to put this together, to get these 500 Nagas together. We got 500 Nagas. We're going up, man. Let's go. That's how we feel today. You want to wait and make the issue be on your grandchildren and your children? When you know better today, you got to hope that what you pass on to them, in this metaverse is going to stick, man. We have to make our rise. I believe we're doing it the right way by purifying ourselves so that our Creator can hear us again. Give us the wisdom, Ama Abba, to proceed. That won't cause unnecessary, unnatural death and demise of our people, but will bring life to our people. We don't know the battlefield like the Tecumseh knew it. We don't know life in the woods like the Shawnee knew it. But perhaps we can know the code more than anyone. Any one of our ancestors ever knew it. Like Awad says, it's going to be written in our heart bone. We can be on code more than all of our ancestors were ever on code. And in this, we can secure our lands because Awad will secure it for us as he did with Moshe in the Exodus and Joshua in Kandawi. We solidify our force field again. We cannot be touched, and we cannot be faded. And one Naga will again be able to go against 10,000 hijacks.
That's right.
20 Nagas against 20 million on our Zechariah flow. Love the calm fresh though. His legacy was one of the most celebrated Native Americans in history grew in the years after his death, although details of his life have often been obscured by mythologies. Amen. So much to dig on. With the Tecumseh, with Joseph Brand, Mohawk, the Chickamauga. 1789, 1790, Tecumseh traveled south with just a cow to live with the Chickamauga near Lookout Point. So he was brought into this. His brother brought him in. His dad was already fighting. It was already going up. Some Shawnees already lived among the Chickamauga, who were fierce opponents of U.S. expansion. And this is what it is. You can't have it no other way. Either you're a fierce opponent of the hijack, or you're going to turn into the hijack. Slowly but for sure. If not you, your children, your children's children, Chesapeake led about 40 Shawnees in raids against the colonies. Tecumseh was presumably among them. During his nearly 2 years among the Chickamauga, Tecumseh probably had a daughter with a Cherokee woman. The result, the relationship was brief. The child remained with her mother. They're at war. They don't have time to be raising no family. Yeah, he's like, hey, take the baby, keep him safe. It wasn't like he didn't want to kick it with the mama. He's like, yo, hide the child. If anything, that's my child. Hide her. Go into hiding. I'm at war with these motherfuckers. So, he had been with the Chickamauga 2 years by then. This is why I said all these Chickamauga wars, Tecumseh's in it. He's a teenager. His brothers are in it. His pops had already passed before they started their timeline of wars. The war was already going in the early 1700s. This wasn't the first time Nagas was fighting back. We've been fighting the whole time, Naga. That's why I said, why do you believe you were brought from Africa on a slave ship and been in captivity on some plantation for hundreds of years with some Negro revolts here and there? Here's your Negro revolts, my dog. It never stopped. It never stopped. It never stopped, man. You never stopped. Naga never stopped fighting back. Treaty of Fort Wayne. Naga never stopped fighting back. Negotiations primarily involved the Delaware tribe. And 10 years later, the Delaware get removed, the Miami get removed. Treaty no good. This treaty gave up 29,719,530 acres of Native American land. This is after they gave up Ohio. Other notable treaties, you got the Treaty of St. Mary. Fort Wayne, obviously. And St. Mary. I believe this is when the Delaware and them were removed. Man, look how much land was given up. Treaty of Tippecanoe, 1832. All this is after Tecumseh's death. Clark's Grant, Grouseland, Vincennes, 1804. Greenville, 1795. Missaninois, something like that, 1826. Treaty of Chicago, 1821. So dig on some more of these treaties. You got the Treaty of Wabash, 1840, and that's getting more into that Wabash River. We talked about these Kentuckians, man, and all these so-called volunteers coming out of Kentucky to fight against the Tecumseh and them. Tribe of Ishmael migrated at the same damn time as these treaties and these wars is popping off, man. 1785, come on, man. Come on, man. You just peacefully migrating. Is this your story, man? Yeah. The Ben Ishmael tribe is your story out of Ohio. Treaties giving up all the land in Ohio. Now you just popping off in the Ohio Valley. Watching you real close. Sons of Ishmael. Confederacy. Oh, they got poor whites in their tribe. Interesting. They created a colony in Kentucky. 1790. So 1790, they're in Kentucky. Right? The Kentuckians is going to war now, volunteering, all these volunteers coming out of Kentucky. Crazy. Crazy talk. The War of 1812 left an indelible mark on our nation's history. Kentuckians played a vital role. So in the midst of things, they popping off, man. Setting up cities like Muhammad, Mecca, Morocco, and Cairo. Walking around their cube, 350-mile triangular migration route. Can't make this stuff up. Just makes you just shake your head. Makes you just walk around shaking your head all day. The Ishmaelites disappeared from historical memory after the Indian laws for sterilization of feeble-minded and subhuman families went into effect in 1907. See, even when you make treaties, somehow the jam just still comes back to you, man. Today we don't know who's behind the veil, man, but I'm willing to bet they look something like us, you know. Glaciation lines, man, come on, man. How you gonna have glaciation in America? Well, we talked last time about the Little Ice Age, so this freeze over's popping off around here. It's nothing nice to the hijack. It's not nice to nobody. Fort Wayne, Moraine, Wabash, they're making Wabash treaties. No, I can't make this up. Glaciers. I mean, you gotta think about this. This is Indiana, Illinois, Louisville, Kentucky. God. Glaciation is the process, condition, or result of being covered by glaciers, my love. Or ice sheets. All right, let's say ice sheets, okay? Limit of glaciation, approximate edge of glacial advance. So this is where the ice sheet is advancing. Ice sheet, man. Ice sheet. So when we talked about the Little Ice Age, this ain't no play. I mean, this is popping off approximately, right, between these 1300s, you know what I mean, up until 1850. And some would say that even now we're still kind of getting out of the glaciational, you know, ice age type of thing. So during our captivity and during all this struggle we're having and during all this fighting and all this death, ice, baby. Ice, baby. Doom, 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 doo, doo, doom, doom. White ice, vanilla ice, man. Ice in America, glaciers in America. Hawaii is plaguing the land now because of all this hijacking death. Tecumseh died, ice is popping off. Dragon Canoe died, ice is popping off. Managas is dying and the ice is piling up. Is this when the ice wall was formed in Antarctica? I mean, it's an interesting theory because their theories of causality, several causes, here's their number one thing. When they talk about the Ice Age, I got a small clip I'm going to get for the dismount on this Ice Age, but they pretty much focus on the solar radiation and not a lot of solar cycle, whatever. And maybe this word for word, they kick this first, right? They only really focus on the volcanic activity, causing global cooling, yada, yada. Lack of solar radiation, lack of the sun. We got to put it together. We're talking Europe, right? We're talking Europe, right? So we're talking Black Plague, Black Death. The sun wasn't even coming out for him like that. You got Esteban in the cartoon series. They're begging for young Esteban to bring out the sun once a year. Like, bring out the sun today, please, Esteban. Let the sun come shining through. I said, wow, they really had no sun. They really were in darkness. And they came over here and they brought that bullshit over here. They were plagued over here like the same parasite was plagued over there. And the parasite, I'm saying it very, that's the nicest way I could put it, because you're going around spreading disease everywhere you go. But you don't want to talk about the disease. You don't want to talk about the Black Plague. But it's listed as one of the possible causes for this Ice Age. Ice Age resulting in glaciation. Glaciation, which is the result of being covered by ice. Okay. All right. Put it together, back. Was it the solar radiation, or was it the volcanic activity, or maybe it was the changes in the ocean circulation, or maybe it was the variations in the Earth's orbit and the tilting of the axis, or maybe it was the inherent variability in global climate, because inherently it's going to vary, or maybe it was the decreases in the human population. Really, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the decreases in human population. Indian War, Indian War, Indian War. Texas Indian, Cherokee Indian, Seminole, Southwest Indian, Northwest Indian. Maybe it was that Hawaii wasn't pleased with the decrease of his people. Maybe it was these epidemics, they call it, emerging in the Americas upon European contact. They didn't want to talk about this in a little video about the Ice Age that we're going to get for the dismount. They want to focus on volcanic activity and solar radiation. They don't want to focus on European contact, because then they have to say, damn, am I truly that much of a pestilence that I would bring so much death to the Americas that it would cause a mother-sucking Ice Age? That Hawaii would curse this land to such a degree because I showed up here, that these epidemics are emerging out of European contact? What kind of European contact? Texas War, Seminole War, more. Managa, when I say European, I mean, you know what Holy Roman Emperor Charles the Boy looked like, man, right? The first European emperor, conqueror of the Inca, right? He looked like a regular Naga, right? He's a European, right? So I'm not saying white people as you know white people, right? But we talking glaciation white, right? We talking North Africa white. Sometimes they can come over here and get cozy. No. Nah, they have a chance to come over here and get cozy, boss. In Europe, the Baltic Sea froze over twice in 1303 to 1307. Unseasonable cold, storms, rains. The Little Ice Age brought colder winters to parts of Europe and North America. Farmers and villages in the Swiss Alps were destroyed by encroaching glaciers in the mid-17th century. Canals and rivers in Great Britain and the Netherlands were frequently frozen. Hostile UAV in the area. In winter festivals. Everybody's feeling it. It's not just in America, but it seems to be hitting the hardest in America. Little Ice Age by anthropologist Brian Fagan of the University of California at Santa Barbara tells of the plight of European peasants. European peasants from 1300 to 1850. Famines, hypothermia, bread riots. They needed bread. And so this is all happening during all these riots, during the Indian Wars. Come on, man. Put it together, my night. Seems like a curse to me. Seems like a plague, right? Famine, hypothermia, riots, rise of despotic leaders brutalizing and increasingly dispirited peasantry. Late 17th century agriculture had dropped off dramatically. Alpine villagers lived on bread made from ground nutshells, barley, and oat flour. Historian Wolfgang Behringer has linked intensive witch hunting episodes in Europe to agricultural failures. Oh. He's linking the witch hunting going on in Europe to the agricultural failures. What? The more witches you hunt, the more your crops ain't gonna grow. Seems like a personal problem they got with Hawaii. And who are these witches, right? They're calling Tenska, Tawa, Tecumseh, and then they're witches too, because they possess this type of energy that they're not familiar with. Witch hunts lead to agricultural failures. Come on. So, this is a plague, right? For example, outbreaks of the plague were often blamed on Jews. Here goes the witch hunts. Jewish populations were murdered, but they don't talk about this with the Holocaust because they're talking 1300s and they know they ain't talking them. We're talking Hebrews, 1300. They're being murdered in an attempt to stop the plague. Body bag. So they know it's a plague. Who's plaguing them? Now you say, whose plague? Just a random plague? Or is this plague connected with European contact emerging in the Americas? No, you just want to talk volcano activity. Okay. But why wouldn't the dragons be popping off? Why wouldn't the dragons be popping off out that volcano? The first River Thames Frost Fair was in 1608 and the last 1814. So in some ways it's like, we just coming out of this freeze over. We got last time that this threw off the early colonizers, I guess so, who had expected climates in North America to be similar to that of Europe. However, historians agree it was one of the coldest time periods in the last 1,000 years. That's a long time to get the record of the coldest 1,000-year period. That's like saying, man, tomorrow's going to be the coldest it's been since the year 1022. That's hella cold. 1,000 years, you're going to break a record? The largest drought of the past 800 years. No water? Quite a bit to do with the glaciations. Literal glaciers in America during this time of your migration, man. You walking around your cube in the ice, man. With your holy mountain of harmonics. Harmonics have anything to do with this freeze over? They bring up this Greenland ice sheet a lot, and we've seen the connectivity of Greenland, how we could pretty much walk to Greenland in the 1500 maps. I mean, was Greenland recently froze over? Is that like a tropical paradise as well, like Antarctica was? Is it real snow? Is it fake snow? I mean, what's going on? What's going on in Danville, man? Con. So, the coon said it was known as an orator. The president knew how to speak, man. And his brother apparently had a stutter, they said. So, he had to do most of the speeches. But really, the prophet, his brother, would be really known as, I guess the hard bone, of the operation. But they worked, side by side. Here's a speech he gave to Governor William Harris. So here goes his Harris again. Oh, yeah. I mean, don't play with the links now. William Henry Harris, Principal Chief of the Choctaw. Or we're talking President William Harris Sr. The 1307. Unseasonable cold, storms, rains. The Little Ice Age brought colder winters to parts of Europe and North America. Farmers and villages in the Swiss Alps were destroyed by encroaching glaciers in the mid-17th century. Canals and rivers in Great Britain and the Netherlands were frequently frozen deeply enough to support ice skating and winter festivals. Everybody's feeling it. It's not just in America, but it seems to be hitting the hardest in America. Little Ice Age by anthropologist Brian Fagan of the University of California at Santa Barbara tells of the plight of European peasants. From 1300 to 1850. Famines, hypothermia, bread riots, they needed bread. And so this is all happening during all these riots, during the Indian Wars. Come on, man. Put it together, my night. Seems like a curse to me. Seems like a plague, right? Famine, hypothermia, riots, rise of despotic leaders brutalizing and increasingly dispirited peasantry. Late 17th century agriculture had dropped off dramatically. Alpine villagers lived on bread made from ground nutshells mixed with barley and oat flour. Historian Wolfgang Beringer has linked intensive witch hunting episodes in Europe to agricultural failures. Oh. He's linking the witch hunting going on in Europe to the agricultural failures. What? The more witches you hunt, the more your crops ain't gonna grow. Seems like a personal problem they got with Hawaii. And who are these witches, right? They're calling Tenska, Kawa, the Kumse, and then they're witches too, because they possess this type of energy that they're not familiar with. Witch hunts lead to agricultural failures. Come on. So, this is a plague, right? For example, outbreaks of the plague were often blamed on Jews. Here goes the witch hunts. Jewish populations were murdered, but they don't talk about this with the Holocaust because they're talking 1300s and they know they ain't talking that. We're talking Hebrews, 1300. They're being murdered in an attempt to stop the plague. Body bag. So they know it's a plague. Who's plaguing them? Now you say, whose plague? Just a random plague? Or is this plague connected with European contact emerging in the Americas? No, you just want to talk volcano activity. Okay. But why wouldn't the dragons be popping off? Why wouldn't the dragons be popping off out that volcano? The first River Thames Frost Fair was in 1608 and the last 1814. So in some ways it's like, we're just coming out of this freeze over. We got last time that this threw off the early colonizers, I guess so, who had expected climates in North America to be similar to that of Europe. However, historians agree it was one of the coldest time periods in the last 1,000 years. That's a long time to get the record of the coldest 1,000-year period. That's like saying, man, tomorrow's going to be the coldest it's been since the year 1022. See, that's hella cold. 1,000 years, you're going to break a record? The largest drought of the past 800 years. No water. It's hella ice. So yeah, this ice age seems to have quite a bit to do with the glaciations. Literal glaciers in America during this time of your migration, man. You walking around your cube in the ice, man. With your holy mountain of harmonics. Harmonics have anything to do with this freeze over?